We see injuries really just deter San Francisco's entire season last year from the first game, opening game, throughout the rest of the season. They just had guys falling to injuries game after game. In Seattle, they really kind of just fell off, and I guess they decided to give up on this current iteration of the team and sending Geno down to Vegas and getting rid of DK and say, hey, let's just retool and see what we can do. That leaves the Rams as the only true contender in this division, in this NFC West, because I don't see how, with the losses that San Francisco had, and I know that they can draft well, and the GM Lynch has done a great job drafting out there. Kyle Shanahan has done a great job developing talent. But that's a lot of holes to fill when you're talking about all-pro guys leaving. They had an all-pro safety leave and go to the Saints, I believe. They had an all-pro corner and Charvarius Ward get paid and go down to Indianapolis. I don't see how this San Francisco team could keep up with the amount of guys that they've let go.
And you trade Debo.
Yeah.
One of your offensive tackles that came in for Trent Williams and played while he was. And this is a team that was decimated by injuries last year, but now you kind of start getting rid of your guys that's been around for a long time. So what is your window of opportunity of winning since you're doing this? I mean, and like you said, they draft well, they bring in guys, they've been competitive, and last year was a down year for them, but you have to think about it. McCaffrey hadn't necessarily been, and he was carrying them for a while.
Yeah,
but,
to that Super Bowl they went to.
But he was not necessarily been available either. So you just don't know what's going to happen with San Francisco. But like you said, at the head of that division, I definitely put the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams got to be considered the cream of the crop now in that division. And San Francisco, I guess you could say, kind of trailing behind that, but Arizona had a surprisingly decent season last year. I thought Arizona was going to be, honestly, a bottom feeder in that division and the entire NFC. And they go out there and have a pretty good year. So, man, San Francisco, you're battling in this division. There's no guarantee for second or third place.
Yeah. So the NFC West, I'm thinking it's just the Rams right now, and everybody else. I think Philadelphia. Arizona. They'll probably improve, but I don't see them improving enough to where they can make a statement in that NFC. That NFC is tough with the NFC Central, with Minnesota and Green Bay, Detroit, and then Chicago and what they've been doing in free agency. So you got those teams, and then you talk about the NFC East, and you talk about two teams in the NFC East that play for the NFC Championship with Washington and Philadelphia. So it's kind of hard getting in that NFC.
Oh, yeah. And it's definitely as tough as it's ever been. Like you said, Detroit is only getting better. I feel like they've actually replaced the other side. They lose Carlton Davis, but they replace him with a guy that I think is a better corner, and DJ Reed coming from the Jets. They replace him, helping to shore up that defense some more. I'm very interested to see what they're going to do as far as a pass rusher. I know Aiden Hutchinson will be back next year, but if they bring in another guy, whether that's through the draft or through free agency, that can help collapse that pocket even more, that defense is going to be a little bit scarier than it was last year. So, it's going to be tough for anybody to come out of that NFC. The Bears adding all the pieces they added, and especially adding Ben Johnson as a coach.
Right.
I think that really elevates their chances as well.
Yeah, and the thing about that, they've been replacing guys and getting free agents in the right situation, in the right places. They shoring up their line, trying to secure it and make sure that their young signal caller is protected. They doing it, and then they've been doing it on defense as well, which they already had a pretty good defense last year. And defense wasn't the reason that they lost last year. It was their offense, and that they couldn't protect their young quarterback. So seemed like they've been doing some good things. I think they've been doing some great things in free agency. I think Minnesota been doing some great things, and everybody's trying to catch up to Detroit in that division. And that's going to be the most exciting. And then you think about Green Bay, so that's going to be the most exciting division right there. So I look forward to seeing, because all these teams have made positive moves.
Yeah,
And I think it'll help them all. So it's going to be a very competitive division over there with Minnesota, Green Bay, Detroit, and who
the
else?
Bears as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the Bears.
I think that's probably going to be like last year, the most competitive division in
had
football.
You had three teams. That went to the playoffs today, and I don't see anything changing this year. I want to see what Chicago's going to do. They're going to have to knock off Green Bay, and they're going to have to knock off Minnesota. And Minnesota, I mean, I think it's up for grabs, because now you bring in a rookie quarterback.
Exactly.
That has 1 year experience, but he sat behind Sam Darnold, and he learned, and he's been learning the offense for a couple of years. But still, you have to go out and play. You have to go out and play, and we'll see how that works out for them. But right now, I'm thinking, man, that's going to be the toughest division in football.
Yeah, Minnesota, even with losing a couple of guys, they added some guys like Jonathan Allen, who's been an All-Pro multiple times, has played for the Commanders. They bring him into the fold. They free up a little bit more cap space by not signing Sam Darnold, and also letting Cameron Bynum, the safety, he signed a big deal to go out to Indianapolis, I believe, so they're not going to be bringing him back. Still got more free agency spots to go for in Minnesota, but they cleared up some cap as well.
And I think they did Hargrove, too. They brought
Javon Hargrave, over from Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, they trying to secure those positions.
Re-signed Aaron Jones, too.
Yeah, those positions to where they were weak at last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was their defensive line, because teams can run on them. And so they're trying to show up that defense, because the offense was their driving drove everything for them last year. So
Kevin O'Connell feels like, hey, I'm good on the offensive side of the ball. I know I'm gonna have a young quarterback, but I know what offense we want to run. Yeah. He's had success with Kirk Cousins in there. He's had success now with Sam Darnold in there. He feels like, hey, throw another guy in there, J.J. McCarthy, like you said, that got to sit and watch the entire last year and just sit there and learn.
So it's just plug and play.
Yeah, plug and play is what it feels like.
So defense is what they needed to improve on, and they went out and they signed some free agents to show up their defensive front, because we know what won the Super Bowl for Philadelphia last year, and that was defense. So defense wins championships. So,
for sure.
Don't ever get that confused. Any team that's ever won, it's been because of the defense.
Yeah, we haven't seen too many Super Bowls that's been won 45 to 41 or 42, something like that. Most of the Super Bowls are going to be like we saw last year was a little bit different because the team got blown out. But when it's a close game, it's going to be within the 20s somewhere, maybe in the 30s. We don't see too many games where it's a shootout in the Super Bowl.
And they were blown out because they weren't able to do anything on offense, because the defense took control of the game. So defense wins championships. And everything is all based in the trenches. Everything is won in the trenches. If you can protect on the offensive line, you'll be good. If you can create a pass rush with just 4 guys rushing, and you're playing solid defense, then it always gives you a chance and opportunity. So that's what we're kind of seeing these teams do. You're always going to have skill positions and a quarterback you're going to have to win with. But, but if you – defense wins championships.
No, for sure. I want to talk about another team in the NFC that's led by a defensive coach, and that's the Washington Commanders. These guys have made a lot of noise, if not the most noise, probably since free agency has started. It started whenever they made a trade for a guy like Deebo Samuel, brought him over into the fold, helped that offense get more playmakers out there, because they've got a Zach Ertz who they re-signed. That was big. They got a Terry McLaurin out there. And they've got some decent player running back as well. Obviously, Jaden Daniels, the rookie of the year, he's playing phenomenal football. You bring in a Deebo Samuel out there, then they let go of a guy like Jonathan Allen, who's been there a long time, a good vet on their defense, but was taking up a lot of salary cap. We're able to free some salary cap with there. That opened up the door for them to re-sign a Zach Ertz, for them to re-sign a Bobby Wagner, who's coming back into that defense as well. They also got Marshawn Lattimore out there on the defensive side as well. And then today they make a trade with the Houston Texans to bring over Laramie Tunsil and trade them a few picks to bring him into the fold to help shore up that offensive line. And now they've got a true blind side protector on that offensive line for Jaden Daniels. What do you think about this Washington team, who was a young team that made it all the way to the NFC Championship? Now they add even more pieces to their team.
Well, everybody's trying to catch up to Philadelphia. So in order to catch up to Philadelphia, you have to protect. They seen what their weaknesses, and they're ahead of schedule, believe me. But when you have a young quarterback that's on his rookie deal, and you already had salary cap money available, and one of the biggest salary caps available in the league, then you could go out now you can go out and get the guys that you need to plug and play. So what we need to do is our strengths, we need to keep them as our strength, but our weaknesses, we have to fill those voids for our weaknesses so we can get better, so we can catch up to Philadelphia. We won the NFC Championship game last year playing against Philadelphia. But in order to beat these guys, we got to get better talent on the field, and they're starting to do it.
Yeah.
So and like we always said in the beginning, when we were doing the show way back in November and October, people are going to want to play for Washington because they're competitive.
We said that.
It's a fun defense to play in.
Yeah.
And it's a fun offense to play in.
For sure.
You got Kingsbury out there, and he's a great offense coordinator, and he's throwing the ball all around the field. If you're a running back, who wouldn't want to go and play in that offense?
Yeah.
But then on the other side of the ball, you got Dan Quinn, was in Dallas, who guys get a ton of sacks and guys get a ton of interceptions. And it's a fun defense because you're blitzing, and it's just a fun defense. It's just like a run and shoot defense.
Yeah, it is.
So, you're going to get guys that want to go out and play in Washington. So, hey, they're catching up to Philadelphia. I still think Philadelphia is a cream of the crop right now.
Yeah,
But
you're
going
sure.
to have teams that's trying to catch up to them and trying to get there to where they are and to get in that Super Bowl like Philadelphia did last year.
Yeah, last year, even though Jalen Hurts was out in that game, the only team to beat Philadelphia in their last 6 regular season games plus the postseason was the Washington Commanders. So they're going out there, they're retooling. Dan Quinn is familiar with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was the defensive coordinator from the Cowboys when they were dominating Philadelphia, honestly, in their regular season at least. Now he goes over to the Commanders. They split with him during the regular season. They play him again in the NFC Championship, and Philadelphia gets the best of them. Now you just continue to add guys to that team. Man, that Washington team is going to be dang. That's probably the most fun team to watch next year.
You just add pieces. You add pieces, and then you add a guy like a Deebo Samuels to the offense that gives you another weapon. Man, it's going to be fun. Right now, we live in the state of Texas and the Cowboys, but they're in a division, and I don't see them doing anything to catch up to these teams that played in this NFC Championship game last year. So I think the Cowboys still have a lot of work to do. But Washington, Philadelphia has made some moves and got rid of some guys, but they didn't have a choice. It's because they're salary cap heavy, and then they just gave Saquon Barkley this new deal. But the main thing about Philadelphia, they got plenty of guys because they drafted well. Their defensive line is still secure because some of those guys that they just got rid of, they played, but they weren't even
starters.
They weren't even starters. These guys they were bringing in. They were because they were rotating their defensive line. So these are rotation guys.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that offensive line is still solid. So once you still got that establishment, like you said, and you got the trenches already wrapped up. So, man, it's just plug and play. It's just going out and do what you do. And now they're going to be playing with a lot of confidence because they just won a Super Bowl and they know how to get there. Winning breeds winning. So, hey, these guys are going to be tough again. So they still the cream of the crop. Yeah,
I still got Philly as my favorite. I haven't seen anything happen in the offseason yet that would make me deter from them being my favorite. They lost some guys. Darius Slay is headed out to Pittsburgh. But like we talked about last week, we kind of seen that coming. He's an aging guy that ended up not even really playing the main role. By the end of the year, Quinyon Mitchell is following the ones around. And Darius Slay is kind of playing back in the zone. And then you see what Cooper DeJean was able to do throughout the playoff run and the Super Bowl. We saw that coming. Chauncey Gardner is headed down to Houston. They traded him to Houston, but they pick up similar to what they did with Mekhi Becton. They figured they're probably going to lose Mekhi Becton, which he should do. You play a great year on the All-Pro and an All-Pro level, you're going to go and get paid somewhere. But they bring in a Kenyon Green who has been considered a bust like Mekhi Becton was on the Jets, considered a bust on the Texans. They're going to bring him into the fold and have him playing in that same role. So it's almost like a retooling, even though they're losing guys like Chauncey Gardner and Darius Slay. They're still retooling and getting other guys out there before the draft even starts.
Yeah, and that's the key. You know, when you got a dominant offensive line and you bring in one guy, now all you have to do is do your job, and then you got these guys around you that you don't want to let down. So they're going to breed confidence in this guy, and he's going to go out and have that same type of year that Becton had. And Becton is going to go get paid.
Yeah,
Somebody that came into Philadelphia, played guard, revived his career, and now he's one of the top offensive linemen on the market. So it worked out for him. And so, man, Philadelphia is still a cream of the crop until somebody knocks, and they world champions until somebody knocks them off that mountain, off the ledge.
Yeah, still the world champs right now, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. Says not gonna let y'all forget that whenever he comes on the show. You know, I play the Fly Eagles Fly song for him when he come on here. He said we're taking this all the way into the next season starts, and through the next season we're gonna be talking about Philadelphia. That play style that the Chargers had last year. I think bringing in a guy like Najee Harris, I think they're really going to go aggressively after a receiver either in this free agent market or in the draft again to be able to pair out there with a guy like Ladd McConkey, who had a really good season as well. But bringing in Najee Harris, I feel like was a huge move for them. When their tackles are healthy, I think they probably had the best tackle duo maybe outside of Philadelphia, the best tackle duo in the league with Joe Alt and with Rashawn Slater out there. This offense is starting to get shored up some more. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to go heavy defensively in this draft after he finds a receiver. There's a lot of good guys coming out of Michigan in this draft. I'm sure Jim Harbaugh is going to be bringing in some of those guys into the fold as well. What you think about the Chargers and some of their offseason moves that they've made so far in this free agency?
I like what they're doing. And then with Bosa, like I say, availability is always the key.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to be the highest paid defensive player in the league, you know, which this guy's almost making $30 million a year or more, you have to be available. You have to play. You have to play up to your contract. Them going out and getting Najee Harris, I think, was big. They want to be physical. They want to run the ball. So why not go and get you a big back that probably had his best year last year? Mm-hmm. The previous couple of years, I thought he was kind of soft, but last year, I don't know what he did. Somebody must have got in his ear where he can go out, because he went out and ran the ball. He ran the ball physical. He ran the ball hard. But when you get a big
threat, Najee Harris, I think is going to be huge on that threat. Najee Harris, I think is going to be huge on that offensive line side. And like I said, depending on who they go and get in this draft, which I think is going to be defensive heavy, especially with like 6 or 7 defensive guys coming out from Michigan this year. I think it's going to be a defensive-heavy draft for the Chargers. I see the Chargers as an actual threat in that AFC coming out. And last year they were a 10-11 win team with Justin Herbert not having to do a lot. And that was his first year in the offense, and he didn't even really have to do as much as we know he can do. So now he can get even more comfortable in his offense. He can expand his abilities even some more. And then you pair him up with some more guys out there on the offensive side. Man, I like what this Chargers team is doing.
I can see them having a +2 or a +3 in the win column, you know. But you have 3 teams in the AFC West that made the playoffs as well. So it's going to be competitive. You're talking about Denver, who played well, and they were playing under a rookie quarterback. And then you're talking about Jim Harbaugh, who just came into that division, and was his first year behind the helms in San Diego. So you can see these teams improving and going to probably be catching up with Kansas City. You know, Kansas City was a team that went to the Super Bowl, but Kansas City was going to have to do some things different now. We always talk about the NFL being a copycat league, and now you know how to beat Kansas City. So how you beat Kansas City is you put pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. And if you're able to do that, then you're able to win the game.
Everything. It changes everything. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers did it to them when they beat them in 21, I believe. We just watched Philadelphia take it to a whole nother level in this last year and the way that they did it. So, I mean, they put the formula out there, and like you said, that AFC West is competitive, and I want to stay right within that AFC West and a team that was honestly, I thought, probably the worst team in the league, and that's the Raiders. They make some moves. They bring in a Geno Smith at probably the most team-friendly contract in the NFL with Geno Smith. If you're talking about a guy that can play at the level he plays at consistently and a guy that's only making like $15 to $17 million a year, right, I mean, this is probably the best contract in the NFL. You bring him in at the quarterback spot, whether he's going to be a bridge guy or whether you want to keep him for a few years. You bring him in the fold. They made some moves. Now they got Pete Carroll back in there as well. They re-up on Max Crosby. The interesting thing I want to see with them is what are they going to do with this number 7 pick or this number 6 pick in the draft? Do you still take a Shedeur now that you got a Geno Smith, the Shedeur guy that you could sit for 2 years while Geno Smith plays?
Well, we all know that Pete Carroll is a defensive guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so his philosophy is winning with defense. But they're going to have to do something that, you know, and he's a run-first type of guy. He's not really so keen on passing the ball a lot. But you go get Geno. Geno played up under him his first year out there, so he's familiar with Geno Smith.
Yeah.
And if you want to go get a quarterback, you'll get a quarterback that can set up under him for a year. And it would have to be Shedeur because I think Cam Ward would be off the board by that time.
Yeah.
So it would have to be a guy like that. But they have so many holes to fill that you just can't think about quarterback. You have to think about best available player because even with Geno Smith, who's going to protect him?
Yeah,
you don't have that. You don't have a great line. So you have so many things that you have to fulfill right now. Offensive line, the best thing on defense is Max Crosby. But if they're not getting pressure on the ball, then they don't have nobody that can cover anybody either. So they have so many holes to fill. And it starts, like I say, in the trenches. You have to have some guy that's going to be able to protect you. I don't care if you Geno. I don't care if you Dan Marino. I don't care who you are. If you don't have anybody to protect you, then you're not going to be a good quarterback. So they have a lot to work on, and they have a lot of holes to fill. So I think a best available player is going to be their situation because you get Shedeur, you're gonna get him killed because you can't protect him right now.
Yeah.
And that's the same problem he had with Colorado. They couldn't protect him, so
he can't go through that again. But he had to go through a Colorado. Physically wise, I don't think his body can withstand that much.
You can't stand that much pressure in the NFL because
exactly.
Now you're talking about bigger, faster, stronger guys that's gonna be putting that hat on you.
Yeah.
Compared to what you were taking in college. So. The Raiders are in an interesting situation. Nobody knows what they're doing out there. You know, you got a guy like Tom Brady that's kind of calling a lot of some of the shots. So we'll see how they proceed forward. But they got a lot of holes to fill, Jalen.
Yeah, it's a lot of holes they still got to fill in that team. And I'm just with the Geno Smith one, it just makes that first-round pick just a little bit more interesting to me because I'm not sure if Shedeur is a guy that comes in and wants to sit for 2 years. Sitting 1 year, obviously any first-round pick is going to be cool with that because you can't determine that anyway. But if you bring a guy like Geno in, I mean, if he struggles if he struggles in one game, the whole stadium is going to be cheering and chanting for Shedeur to come out there and play. Yeah. So that's a tough situation to be in. So now do they take best available player out there?
They don't have a running back either.
Yeah,
so,
they have no running game, yeah.
They don't have anything out there. I mean, you have a receiver, but I don't think he's a 1. I think he's a 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had Devontae Adams, which was a 1, and then you trade him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't exactly know what they're doing out there. I mean, they got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they got a lot of work to do in Las Vegas.
I think you'll see them in that forward spot in that division and that AFC West.
Yeah.
So,
AFC West is a gauntlet right now, and Denver's getting even better. I just seen them sign Dre Greenlaw away from the 49ers as well. So that defense is just getting even better than it already was. They got the Defensive Player of the Year on the team with Pat Surtain. We just talked about the Chargers, and then you got the Chiefs, so you know who are going to be.
Those are 3 teams that went to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, it's going to be tough, and and then you have to play both of those. You have to play Los Angeles twice.
Uh-huh.
You have to play Kansas City twice. You know, and then you have to play Denver twice. So
That's 6 losses.
That's 6 losses, man.
As of right now, I don't know if they'll make some more moves.
That's in your division.
Yeah.
That's in your division. So,
that's a tough one for the Raiders, and that's why I think he got a guy like Pete Carroll that's going to be cool with. Hey, we're going to do some losing at the beginning. I'm secure in my coaching abilities, so I'm not going to start tripping, or I'm not going to start thinking that the world is ending once we start losing, because their roster's not good enough to win right now.
I think they'll give him a pass this year.
Yeah,
the
for
next
sure.
2 years,
For
because
sure.
one thing you do get with Pete Carroll is a guy who has won a Super Bowl, and a guy that has pretty good control of his team. So you go out and get you a stable coach that
within there, and I think that's what Tom Brady saw whenever they went out there and picked up a guy like Pete Carroll. Folks, we got to take a quick break, touch the top of the hour. When we come back here on Centex Primetime, still a lot of NFL free agency news that we got to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about some of these NBA games that are going on as well. We got some games tonight. I think the Bucks and Pacers are playing tonight on TV. We'll talk a little bit about that game as well, and we'll jump right back into this NFL free agency. So stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this short break.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Hello?
Hey, what are you doing?
Oh, nothing, girl. Trying to decide where I'm going to find a birthday gift for my boyfriend.
Oh, that's easy. Go over to the hat stand at 900 East Waco Drive.
What do they carry?
They carry men's urban wear, jerseys, hats. They even do custom embroidery. You could get his name on a hat.
What? Really?
Yeah, you can even get a custom birthday shirt made as well.
I'm on my way. Where did you say it was again?
900 East Waco Drive. Right there, next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime, hour number 2 of the show here today. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here, whether that is on YouTube, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV. Go over there and hit that subscribe button. You can also click the bell so you can get notified when we go live here 5 to 7 p.m. as always, right here on Centex Sports Network. Also live on Twitter and Facebook as well, Centex Sports Network on both of those platforms. You can check us out 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays. This week, we'll be doing a little bit different as we won't be live throughout the rest of this week, but we will have interviews with different people all throughout the week. You'll be able to catch all of that content right here on Centex Sports Network as we are here live from the Highlands on McLennan College campus, beautiful campus here in Waco, Texas. Right here, we're getting ready for the Region 5 tournament in NJCAA, the Region 5 basketball tournament, getting ready to take off right here. Starting tomorrow, 1 o'clock is the first game tip-off. We'll be going all the way through the end of the week, Wednesday through Saturday. You'll be able to catch all the action right here on CentexSportsNetwork.com. Go over to the website. Make sure you get subscribed on there. Still joined here on the set by Wayne Walker as we just got done talking about some of these NFL free agency moves, and we still got plenty more to talk about, a lot more teams to cover with that news. Want to do a couple of quick takes before we jump back into some of the free agency news, as there's still plenty of other news going on around the sports world. One of them being LeBron James and the Lakers played the Celtics on Saturday night. LeBron James came out with a groin injury in that fourth quarter, expected to miss a couple of weeks. The Lakers were already back in action last night as they took on the Brooklyn Nets and actually lost that game by 2 points. So we're kind of seeing where this is going with the Los Angeles Lakers. Can Luka step up and sustain the success that the Lakers were having with LeBron? Because LeBron's been that engine, obviously, from when Anthony Davis went out all the way to the Luka trade. He had to miss some time through Luka getting his legs under him. Now, Luka, we've given up Anthony Davis. They've given up these picks or whatever. You're supposed to be the future of the franchise. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be a little sooner than what you thought. You're going to have to come in and win some games in the immediate future. They lost the game last night, 111-109 against the Brooklyn Nets, and LeBron's first game that he missed since being in the lineup. Jackson Hayes was also out of the lineup as well, so they were missing him. They had to start Alex Len, who didn't give him any production, so hopefully they'll find another answer there at backup center, because Alex Len obviously is not that guy. But Luka, 22 points, 12 assists, 11 rebounds, did his thing, but just not enough to be able to step up. I like what I saw from some of the role guys stepping up. Dalton Connect got to start. He had 19 points. Gabe Vincent got to start because Rui Hachimura is also still out as well. He got to start, and Gabe Vincent had 24 points. So it looks like Gabe Vincent finally cashing in on what the Lakers expected him to be last offseason when they paid him all that money, but he missed the majority of the season, and then last year tried to come in the playoffs, just didn't work out. He's starting to get back in form. Jordan Goodwin, who they got on a two-way deal, he's been playing great really for like the last month. He's been playing good for the minutes he's got it for the Lakers. What do you think about this Lakers team losing LeBron for a couple of weeks and Luka haven't tried to sustain that success that they've been having.
Man, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough without LeBron.
Yeah.
And especially when you're playing against the worst team in the association.
Yeah.
Those games you're supposed to win.
Yeah.
When you go on the road and you have to go there, then you have to go to Milwaukee, and then you have to go to Boston, you can expect those 2 losses in Milwaukee and Boston because you're on the road and you without LeBron. But New Jersey is one of those teams that you're supposed to beat.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to do that. It wasn't a lot of continuity during this game. I watched this game on NBA TV, and it just Luka patting the ball, Luka turning the ball over, and guys just wasn't on the same page. And I kind of heard J.J. Redick's interview, his post-game conference, and he was just saying that it was sloppy. Guys wasn't hustling, and they gave up. I believe he said like 6 open threes that were non-contested, and when you give up that to pros, those guys are going to hit those.
Don't matter what team they playing on.
It don't matter, Like I said, those warm-up threes.
Yeah.
So you gonna hit those shots, but they didn't play defense. They didn't rebound. They turned the ball over, and Austin Reeves had a really bad game. And when your leader goes out, you got to have guys that step up, and they didn't have any guys that stepped up. So it's gonna be tough with LeBron out, especially on the road, and with Luka being new to the team. So it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, they got a tough game coming up in a couple of days. They're playing the Milwaukee Bucks on the road, on national television, on TNT, playing the earlier games, the 6:30 games, so they got to get adjusted to the time, play a little bit of an earlier of a game too. And you're playing Giannis. Yeah. You're going in there without your main guy in LeBron. You're missing some other guys that are out with injuries, Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura. Luka's got to step up. To me, this is a big game for Luka to see, is this the year that you can actually step up and be that guy? Without LeBron there, next year I'm sure you'll have a whole offseason and training camp and all that to get acclimated with the guys. But if everyone has questions about can you step up this year, we're going to see some of those answers on Thursday when you take on a Giannis and a Milwaukee team.
And the problem with that is I think he's still hurt. They talking about his lower back is hurt.
Yep.
He was, he was questionable the other night, last night. So, I mean, it's going to be tough for the Lakers. And then they got guys, I know this guy Jameson that's coming off the bench. Can't shoot the ball a lick, and then, and like you say, Alex Lynn. So they're undermanned. So it's going to be tough for the Lakers with LeBron out. And he's that leader. He's that floor leader. And now you're trying to invest and see what Luka has and see if he can be that guy. But Luka can be that guy. I seen Luka win some of these games by himself, But he's not able to translate that in with the Lakers right now. So it's going to be tough with LeBron out.
Yeah, well, LeBron missing a couple of weeks. As of right now, just a couple of weeks. We don't know. That could extend longer. They might want to keep him out and just bring him back right before the playoffs, depending on how this team looks. They go out there and lose 5 games in a row, LeBron's going to be back in the lineup. I don't care what the 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever they said they're going to sit him out. He's going to be back in that lineup because they don't want to drop all the way to a 5th seed, and now you got to be on the road to start off the playoffs. As of right now, they're in the 2nd seed, and you get to be in L.A.
Well, they dropped to 3. Well, they tied. They tied with Memphis for that. With Memphis for that 3 seed. So they're steady falling, and I think they're going to continue to fall into that 4th or 5th seed.
Yeah,
I'm just saying because they're not going to win too many games without LeBron.
No,
I mean you already undersized team, but they lacking that leadership that LeBron provides on the floor, and they're not getting that. They're not getting it from Luka. You got a guy that every time he gets fouled, he's complaining and saying he won't get back on defense. Although he has been playing defense a little better, he's putting in the effort to play defense. But it's still not there. You just missed that leadership of LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron, he sets the tone on the team. Can Luka be the tone setter? That's the thing. When LeBron, you see LeBron go out, first couple plays, he's already trying to get a dunk. He's trying to leak out to get a dunk because he wants the team energy to be high and he wants to set the tone. Can Luka be that tone setter on the team. And if not Luka, who is going to be that tone setter on the team? They need somebody. I'm interested to see if when Vanderbilt gets back healthy, are they going to insert him in the starting lineup just to bring a defensive edge? Because right now, like with the lineup they had last night, you put Luka, Reeves, and Dalton Connect all out there. Well, ain't nobody guarding anybody.
And one of the biggest defensive guys, Finney Smith, he's out.
Yeah, and then
He's
Finney
out.
Smith is out as well too. So it's a rough stretch for the Lakers right now as far as injuries. We'll see how they get. It's a few teams that are battling like that have been battling some injuries and trying to get back healthy. The Celtics just dealt with it like a month or so ago when Drew Holiday missed time and Derek White missed time and Jalen Brown missed time, and they were able to get through that stretch, and now they're getting back healthy. Another game that took place last night, the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder in what I call the battle for the MVP, because the two MVPs, the guy that I thought should have won it last year in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the guy that's won it the last 2 years and could easily win it this year in Nikola Jokic, battled last night. The Denver Nuggets were able to come out with a win 140-127 against Oklahoma City in a game that really from the third quarter on, Denver just had a complete chokehold on. I watched the game. There was nothing the Thunder could do. They couldn't get anything going. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 25 points. And with how he's been playing the last 2 years, 25 points is a good game defensively if you're the other team to hold Shai to 25. He's averaging 32 a game. So they held him to 25. They were able to hold this OKC team down some, and they were able to just play a really good game. Nikola Jokic played another really great game, 35 points. Some of these stat lines are just ridiculous. 35 points, 18 rebounds, and 8 assists. Jamal Murray chipped in with 34 points and 6 assists last night as well. This Denver team is just as dangerous as ever. These guys have found a rhythm. Jamal Murray is healthy again. He's back in rhythm. They've inserted Russell Westbrook into the lineup. He's been playing great because he just does what needs to be done out there. He's not going out there, everybody always calling him a stat patter and all this stuff. He's just doing whatever they ask him to do in the game. If they need rebounds, he had 7 rebounds last night. They needed assists, he had 7 assists last night. He also chipped in with 16 points, just timely shooting. He's not volume shooting the ball a lot. He only shot the ball 10 times, went 6 for 10, knocked down 3 threes in there. This Denver team is dangerous. They're still not even fully healthy, as guys like Aaron Gordon has been in and out of the lineup all year long, missed like the first 2 months of the season. He was out of the lineup again last night. They were still able to go out there and really manhandle this OKC team. Mm-hmm. And after the game, Nikola Jokic was asked about the MVP race. He said, hey, I feel like even though I won 3 MVPs, I'm playing the best basketball I've ever played in my life right now. And he said, but if it goes to Shai, he deserves it. I mean, they're the top seed in the entire league. They got the best record to do it, averaging 32 points a game. So I think Shai is my MVP as of right now because of the team record, and especially because he didn't get it last year. But Jokic is going to make it hard because, yeah, he's got 3 MVPs, but this is easily the best season he's ever had in his entire career this year. He's averaging a triple-double, a 30-point triple-double at that. He's averaging like 29, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. Just ridiculous numbers. Going to go down as the first center to ever average a triple-double. What do you think about this Nuggets team getting the win over the Thunder last night, and then Jokic just putting himself right back in this MVP conversation as we started to close the door?
Everything is contingent upon Murray. If Murray can be that guy that played in the bubble, mm-hmm. when I thought he had the best tournament of anybody in the whole – I mean, this guy was outstanding. Yeah. And then he hurt himself. But he's the guy – you know what you're going to get out of Joker. You know what you're going to get out of him every night. Man, this guy had 30 points, 20 assists, and 20 rebounds. Man, what kind of line is that for a center? He's
That's
having
crazy.
Arguably, well, not even arguably, the best year a center has ever had in the whole NBA.
Yes,
and this guy's playing a center. He really deserves the MVP. You've had guys that have averaged 30 points per game.
Yeah.
You've had guys that do that. You have never had anybody in the NBA that's done what the Joker has done.
Nobody.
But the problem is he's won 3 MVPs. So
yeah.
You want to see him kind of – but if rightfully so, if they gave it to him, I wouldn't be mad.
No.
I would be kind of disappointed because the year that Shai's having, mm-hmm. SGA's having, and he didn't get to MVP, and he hadn't won one. But and he's been a leader, and his team has been winning. And a lot of the reasons that they're winning is because of what he's doing on the floor. But man, what Joker's doing, man, that
It's
is
unmatched.
unbelievable. It's unmatched. So if they did give it to him, I wouldn't be mad. But I want to see SGA get this MVP. And man, but this guy right here is unbelievable, man. And I don't take anything from him. And if they gave it to him, it's just what it is because he deserves it. And any other year, if he had won 3 already, then it wouldn't even be a question who the MVP was.
I agree. If he hadn't already won 3, like you said, you could hand it to him. And the main reason I think Shea is going to win, because they never let anybody win 3 MVPs in a row. Since Larry Bird did it in the 80s, I think this is the one thing that the league has tried to protect.
Yeah.
They did it with Michael Jordan. He won 2 in a row and then had a great season once again. And let's give it to Charles Barkley. Not like Charles Barkley didn't have a great season, but LeBron won 2 in a row, goes to Miami, has another great season. Let's give it to Derrick Rose, even though Derrick Rose is averaging like 21 points a game.
Did it with Joker too.
And they did it with Joker.
And then they came back, and I think
well, he won 1, and then Embiid won in between, and he's won the last 2.
Yeah, but the year that Embiid won, they could have gave it to him. He had a better year than Embiid.
Went further than Embiid.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, these voters get voters fatigue, and they don't want to see the same guy winning it year in and year out. You know, but I mean, Joker, if he was to win it this year, man, I wouldn't be mad at nobody for him winning it because he deserves it, man. He's having the best year ever by a center.
I've never seen nothing like this.
Yeah, and the guy's just amazing, man. And like you say, this is the best year he's had, and he's won 3 MVPs. So what else can you say about him?
They retool their roster. They lose KCP. They lose Bruce Brown. They lose all these guys. Okay, well, y'all just going to have to get him on back until we figure out what's going on. Now they're figuring out their rotations. Not only should he win the MVP, this Denver team is dangerous.
They're dangerous.
Nobody wants to play this team in the West, including Oklahoma City, who's the #1 seed.
And they got Russell Westbrook to buy in, to coming off the bench and being that energy that's coming off, and he adds a different type of style to him.
Yeah.
He adds that kind of fighter's mentality where he's going to go out and be this guy that's the bad guy, and he's going to get into people's face, and he's going to do this talk. We hadn't had Denver. Anybody with Denver that does that. So then you got this guy that's coming off the bench and that does that, and he has this different type of energy. You know, we always talk about keep that energy. He's keeping that energy. And this guy's coming out and he's having a great year. You got Christian Brown, who's another reserve player. They got a bench, and then you got Aaron Gordon that hadn't even been playing, and then you still got Michael Porter, who played probably hadn't been having a good year, but you know this guy's going to step it up for the playoffs. So. This Denver team is real dangerous. I wouldn't want to play them in the first round.
No, and I think that's why everybody is so concerned about their seeding, because nobody wants to have to play. The worst thing you can do is have to play Denver in the first round, and even if you do win, you have to play OKC in the second. That's too much for a Lakers team or a Memphis team or one of these teams trying to make it out. I think that's just too much of a.
Which I think is gonna get in there.
Yeah.
And I don't think no one wants to see Denver.
No, they got something you can't stop or replicate, and that's the Joker. You can't replicate what he does.
And they got the Joker, and if Jamal Murray is playing and he can give them 30 points, it's
like he
over.
did last night. Yeah,
it's over.
That's
a
wrap.
If he can get 30 points and average around in that average 25 to 30 a game, that's all they need, because they got reserves that can go out, and they got Christian Brown that can go out and give you 12.
I think if Murray's healthy, man, it's tough. It's tough for anybody to beat these guys. OKC included in that, the Lakers included in that, and whoever else you want to throw out of the West included in that too. So Denver Nuggets starting to peak at the right time. They're getting better and better as we're getting closer to this playoffs. So we got to keep an eye on that MVP race between Joker and SGA.
And they beat OKC at home last night.
At home.
Yeah.
Beat them at home. They're in that division too, and I think they've gotten the better of OKC majority of these matchups. I think they got 2 more times they got to play, so those are going to be real interesting games as we get towards the end of this season. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of these games tonight before we go back to some NFL free agency. A couple of props that I like tonight, y'all. Y'all been staying with me, locking in with me on some of these props here that I put out. So a couple that I like tonight for a couple of locks. It's not a lot of games going on, so if you just want to throw a couple out there. He's gone over that number. The last 3 games included, he's at 29, 29, and 31. So I expect him to go over that tonight, especially taking on a weak Wizards team. I expect him in this game. Right now, Milwaukee is a 1.5-point underdog. Indiana's at home. 1.5-point underdog. Indiana's at home. We know Indiana could put up a lot of points, especially whenever they're playing at Indiana as well. Wayne, who do you think? Who do you like in this game? Milwaukee and Indiana playing tonight.
I like Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee's been playing a lot better defense ever since they got Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
You know, Bobby Portis is out. You know, they get rid of
Chris Middleton.
But they've been playing pretty good basketball without him, and I think they're kind of figuring some stuff out. But Indiana is hard to beat at home.
Yeah.
But I still like Giannis anywhere he goes. If he's on, and then you got if he's on, and then you got Lillard, which is a score.
Beat them both times, even though they're playing at Indiana this time. They played at Indiana last time they played a few weeks. Ago, and Milwaukee beat them in that one. They don't have anybody that can guard Giannis. They don't have anybody that can guard Dame. And their biggest pickup of the offseason, which is one of the biggest pickups really for anybody in the whole offseason, was the former Baylor player, Taurean Prince. He played good in the Lakers last year, but that Lakers team was honestly just kind of a disaster as far as their roster being put together. But this year, he's shooting like 40% from the three. He's playing like one of the best three-point shooters in the league. We know what he can do on the defensive end. They've inserted him into that starting lineup, starting at the 2 spot. So they got a huge lineup. Yeah. If he's playing the 2, he's 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
You got Kuzma, 6'8", 6'9", then Giannis, then Brook Lopez. Man, that's a big lineup to have to go against.
Yeah. And the smallest guy out there is Damian Lillard.
Yeah, so, and he's a 6'3", 6'4" point guard.
So, but then, like you said, they got an imposing front line.
Yeah.
So, man, it's tough. It's tough, man, to beat Milwaukee. And I think they're going to be one of those guys that's in the East. I think they're probably, if not the I think they're the 3rd best team in the East with Cleveland and Boston.
Oh, yeah,
and
I agree.
I think it's Milwaukee, New York right there in that same mix. And then you got Indiana and maybe Orlando that's probably going to come out of that division.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot of basketball still to be played, but I like Milwaukee. And Milwaukee is one of those teams that you don't want to see either. I think even though Boston and Cleveland are the top 2 seeds, and I think Cleveland is playing on a different level right now, you know, and Kenny Atkinson, they brought him in as a coach, and I think he's unlocked a lot of potential for a lot of these guys.
Coach of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, but, man, hey, I think him and J.J. Redick probably in that conversation as coach of the year, but – man, I think Milwaukee is going to be tough, and Cleveland, they got a big front line too, you know. And I think if I think Boston can be if Boston meets Cleveland, I think I see Cleveland coming out of that.
Yeah, and I feel the same way as you. I think Cleveland's going to have that number 1 seed. Obviously, they got a lead on everybody. Boston will be right there behind them. So that means in the second round, a team like Cleveland could have to play Milwaukee, and I'm telling you right, Cleveland don't want to play Milwaukee in that second round.
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah, they don't
win without him.
Yeah, they have to, and I mean have to get Jalen. If Jalen Brunson's not healthy, their season is just going down the drain. With all the success they've had this season, all the offseason moves, he makes the whole thing go. And I don't, you know, I thought they were maybe waving and holding some spots to hold out at around this time of year, going to pick up some vets. But they haven't picked up any vets. The Knicks, I just don't trust them. They don't have no bench.
They don't have a bench. And
he don't play the bench.
It ain't that they don't have a bench. He don't play the bench.
Yeah, he don't play.
And I think this is the thing that got them last year.
It is.
And you know, when guys go through and you play a 72 games, you know, schedule, man, you have to rest at some point in the league. If not, you go into this
minutes. He runs a 7-man rotation that you usually see in the playoffs from game 1 to game 82 plus the playoffs. That's just too much wear and tear on people's body. Once I seen Mikal Bridges got hurt, I said, man, he's running these guys in the ground. Mikal
season, you may get 1 day of practice a week, and sometimes you don't get no practices. But they say that New York is going to practice at least twice a week. Even when they're on the road, they're going to practice. They're going to go through some type of walkthrough and do things of that nature. But when you are playing professional basketball, you usually, during the season, because you're playing at least 3 to 4 games a week, you don't practice because you're trying to reserve your body and trying to use all that when you get to game time. Well, they say New York still practices, so that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't. That's why they have injuries every year. They end the season with 4 guys going on IR to end their season. Last year, I think their whole starting 5 got hurt by the time they got to the second round of the playoffs. So they didn't even have a chance to try to advance after that. So we'll see how they go with there. But, man, I hope Tibbs changes something by the time they get to the playoff. You still got time to add somebody in free agency. Get a couple of guys off the bench because the couple of guys they had last year that they were able to play when people did get hurt, like Alec Burks and some of these other guys, they're all gone. Only guy coming off the bench is Precious Achua and Miles McBride. That's 2 guys. You got to be able to fill out some of these other spots because right now Brunson not playing, and they're probably going to lose every other game because they don't have a point guard on the roster. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Hopefully Tibbs changes some of that around. But that's some of the NBA news going on here tonight, folks. I gave out a couple of my props. You can go back and rewatch some of this if you want to see what those props were as well, and we'll look at some of those games here for tonight. Going back over to the NFL while we got a few minutes here left on the show today. We talked about some of these guys have got paid. Sam Darnold got a bag. We talked about some of these other guys getting money going out there, but I want to talk about another quarterback that just went out and got a bag, and that's Justin Fields. He's leaving from the Pittsburgh Steelers after really getting his chance taken away from him. I thought really at that point there wasn't going to be a chance for Justin Fields to go back to Pittsburgh because he can't trust the coaching staff. You put me out there for 8 games. I went 6-2. I didn't get hurt. I lost my job to Russell Wilson. He started off hot, but then he got really cold at the end of that season, and I didn't get a chance to go back in there. So at that point, I can't trust that coaching staff. I got to go take my talent somewhere else where I'm going to get a shot. Aaron Glenn, who's now the head coach of the New York Jets, he got to watch Justin Fields up close and personal every year when they were playing the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears were terrible, but he's probably looking at Justin Fields like, hey, man, this dude gets the right coach around him. He gets the right set of players around him. This guy's got a lot of talent. He can be pretty good. Then you watch him go out there in Pittsburgh with limited offensive weapons, and they go 6-2 under him as the starting helm. Now he gets a 2-year, $40 million contract to go out there with the New York Jets, similar to what we were talking about with Vegas earlier. The Jets were a team that were in contention for picking a quarterback. Now, maybe they don't pick a quarterback with that number 7 pick and try to beef up some of their defense or maybe some of their offensive line as well to help out with Justin Fields out there. They move off of Devontae Adams. They moved off of Aaron Rodgers. They bring Justin Fields into the fold. What do you think about this new-look Jets team now with Justin Fields under the center?
I think it's a good move for the Jets, One thing that they did have, they did have culture, and they had a system in Detroit, and so they bringing this guy that was the offense coordinator, the assistant offensive coordinator, passing game coordinator from Detroit, and they're bringing him over here. One of the things with Justin Fields is that he can't read defenses, and sometimes you gotta have a coach that can help you with that because defenses in the NFL are very complex. Yeah. And what they try to do is they try to confuse you. And I think he's had a lot of confusion over the years. Great athlete, has a strong enough arm.
Definitely.
But I just don't think he's been placed in the right situation. So if you can place him in the right situation and you can give him this support that he needs and the confidence, because a lot of it is confidence. Like you say, they stole it away from him last year in Pittsburgh. I go 6-2, and then when this guy comes back, he's not doing any better than I am. And then you bring him in, and then you replace me, and then you want me to come back, and you say you're not going to sign him, but you want me to come back to this same situation and saying that I'm your quarterback. How can I trust you? Yeah. How can I trust you when you broke me down? You tore me down last year because you didn't give me that opportunity once he started to do bad. And it wasn't that I was doing bad. It's just that I wasn't getting the ball down the field a little bit more, or whatever, but we were still being successful in winning. So, to me, him and his agent did the right thing. Give me somewhere else. I can go and revive my career like these other guys, just like a Sam Darnold did.
Yes, exactly.
Just like a Baker Mayfield did. Just like a Geno Smith did. So now, give me that opportunity, and I'm going to take that opportunity and go try to revive my career somewhere else.
And that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to the New York team and getting some money while he did it. I seen him
getting $30 million on top of it.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, 30 guaranteed to go out there as well. And I seen him in I think he was in Dubai when he got the news, and they was having a celebration out there. I said, all right, he already spending some of that new contract money. He said, oh, we can do what we want. We finna recoup that, and then when I get back to the country and do this signing. So shout out to Justin Fields, man, getting a new change of scenery. A guy that kind of got stuck in a bad situation going to the Bears. He had a different offensive coordinator every single year he was on the Bears. Then goes to Pittsburgh. It's a whole nother offensive coordinator with a limited offensive weapons. I mean, outside of George Pickens, wasn't anybody else out there on the Steelers that was making some noise like that. So he gets a new change of scenery, new coach, new weapons to go out there. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, all these guys out there. So I'm excited for this Justin Fields. Like you said, his biggest problem was reading defenses. He's got the arm to make all the throws, and he's outside of Lamar Jackson. He might be the fastest quarterback. It's between him and Jaden Daniels in the league.
And then, that's the same thing they said about Jared Goff until they brought him to Detroit.
Exactly.
That's why L.A. got rid of him, because they said he couldn't read defense. And this guy was the first pick in the whole draft.
Mm-hmm.
But they confused him on defense. He wasn't and he was playing under Sean McVay, which is one of the best offense coordinators in the league, and they got rid of him because he wasn't doing what they wanted him to do, and he wasn't able. They was confusing him. They didn't say they say he didn't have a big arm, and he really couldn't read defense, but he was young. So now you got Justin Fields in the same type of situation, young guy who has the arm, who has a capable arm, who can run the ball, who can be just as dangerous as anybody on the field if he has that structure. The problem with the Jets is going to be, can they protect him?
And that's their biggest problem. They've still got Tyron Smith there, left tackle, who did not play well last year, a very aging Tyler Smith. They got Vera Tucker over there, right guard, who I think is a really good guard. But you got to shore up some of those positions. What you don't want is Justin Fields coming there and having to run around the whole time.
And to be honest, Detroit did it the right way.
Yeah.
Detroit, before they did anything, and when they were bad, one thing they did have, if they were going out and they were getting offensive linemen to protect.
Every year in the first round.
That's why they have one or two best lines in the whole NFL, because that's what they invested on. Mm-hmm. That's what they picked. That's what they went in the draft and done. And so I don't see it being any different, because they know in order to be successful in the NFL and in order to have a great offense, you have to be able to protect the quarterback. So hopefully that's what'll happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, I see them now with that number 7 pick. Okay, if we're not going to get on a quarterback just this year and we want to give Justin Fields a chance, maybe we go and get the Banks kid out of Texas at left tackle. Maybe we go and get Will Campbell, the left tackle out of LSU. Maybe we go get one of those guys and try to shore up this offensive line and ensure that Justin Fields can have some success out there. Because I guess what you don't want him doing is just running around and trying to read the defense while he's running at the same time, while he's also learning a new offense, while he's trying to figure out timing between him and Garrett Wilson. That's not what you want him out there doing, even though him and Garrett Wilson played in college together, so they get reunited to go back out there, and they've already got some chemistry. But if they can get that offensive line going, I'm interested to see. I'm rooting for Aaron Glenn. I want him to go out there and be able to turn around his Jets, because nobody's been able to do it since Rex Ryan back in, and that was over 15 years ago that he was able to do that with the New York Jets. So I'm interested to see what Aaron Glenn could do with Justin Fields in there. 2 years, $40 million deal for Justin Fields as he's heading to New York, leaving Pittsburgh without any quarterbacks right now. We'll talk about them in a second. Some news that just came out. DeAndre Hopkins signing with the Baltimore Ravens. That news just came out. He's going down there to Baltimore to play with Zay Flowers, to play with Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, Isaiah Likely, all of those guys, giving them a sure-handed receiver. In Kansas City, it didn't really work out for whatever the reason was, but honestly, Kansas City's offense wasn't humming all year. So the fact that they couldn't figure it out with Kansas City doesn't in my mind, make it seem like DeAndre Hopkins is washed. It just makes it seem like they had a lot of options and he didn't know exactly where to go with that. But with Baltimore, just looking at it since the news just came out, I'm thinking, okay, now they got a guy on third. Zay Flowers is like 5'8", 5'9". He's not the guy that you want to go to on some of those contested catches on third down with the smaller receiver like that. D-Hop brings in a sure-handed guy, a veteran that knows how to win on those third downs, and maybe he doesn't drop a pass like we've seen other guys do in the past with Lamar Jackson. So I like that signing, them bringing DeAndre Hopkins in to a new deal into that fold with the Ravens.
Yeah, I do too. They've been trying to get him for the last 3 years.
Man,
so now they finally get the guy that they've been, coveting and trying to get. And so, but I think he does help him out. I mean, he'll go through training camp with him. Now he's going from a team with Tennessee that was horrible, and then you get traded in the middle of the season, and you go to Kansas City, and you really didn't get the opportunity to shine there. Now you'll go to a team that's really wanted you. You go in from day one. You can start OTAs and go through all of that and learn the offense, and then I think he'll have a successful year. And then you got one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best offenses in the league. Like I said, then you have weapons around you.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. You have weapons around you, and you got a guy that can get out of trouble anytime in the pocket. It's just great for I think it's great for Baltimore to get him, and I think he'll help them out a lot.
Yeah, I think it's great for Hopkins too, and a chance to try to prove himself at the end of his career. We know he's going for a ring. He's been trying to get that ring. He spent all that time in Houston. I think him going to Arizona and then Tennessee kind of changed his perspective and was like, okay, well, I've gotten paid a few times. Let me try to go out here and seal the team that I can win and actually be successful on, and I think that's what he's trying to do with the Ravens. So I like the pairing, like you said, for both sides. I like the pairing for Hopkins and what it can do for his career, and then I like the pairing for Baltimore because they need that third down type of receiver. We talked about this team a little bit in hour number one, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. They've got a lot of decisions coming up. They've lost All-Pro Charvarius Ward at corner. He's going to Indianapolis. Deebo Samuel is headed to the Washington Commanders. Kyle Juszczyk, which I thought was a surprising one, he's kind of like the heart and soul of that offense at fullback. They released him. They lost Javon Hargraves. Dre Greenlaw just got paid. He's out of there as well. They lost Jalen Moore at tackle as well. And Hufanga, who was an all-pro at safety before he tore his ACL last year, he got paid, and he's heading out of San Francisco as well. A lot of holes to be able to fill. And on Twitter, somebody tweeted and said, man, the 49ers are losing everybody, and their roster is kind of depleted right now. Micah Parsons comments on it because he always likes to comment on things. He says, well, that's because there's no more rookie quarterback. Welcome to reality. So he's referring to, hey, y'all have to clear this space because y'all know y'all got to pay Brock Purdy some money, and he thinks that their success has been because of you've had a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal for this long, so you're able to pay all these guys. Now that Brock Purdy's coming up, you're in the same boat as the Dallas Cowboys who's been paying Dak $45 million for the last few years, and now he's on a $60 million deal. Micah Parsons is saying, hey, this is what the rest of the league has been having to deal with all this time. What do you think about Micah Parsons' comments about that, and then the 49ers really just whole roster being depleted?
Well, quite honestly, I agree with him.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I just still don't think Brock Purdy is that guy.
No, I don't think so
Even
either.
though they're going to have to pay him because he has been successful and he's been under this rookie deal, and they chose this guy to be their quarterback, so they're going to have to pay this guy. So now, in order to pay this guy, you have to get rid of these guys. You have to start getting rid of these big contracts you got and then able to be under the cap. And so to do so, what do you have to do? You have to get rid of some of these veteran guys that are making money. So you have to clear the cap space to be able to pay Brock Purdy. So now they are falling under that. But I still don't see him going out and commanding a $50 million a year contract. I can see him being around that $30 million year deal like Sam Darnold or something like that, and I can see him sign him for 3 or 4 years. But I just, to me, And that's my personal opinion. I don't think Brock Purdy is the guy.
Well, I'm agreeing with you. I think he can't get $1 more than Sam Darnold got, in my opinion. I don't think that he should get more, or really, I don't think he should get even as much as Sam got. I think he should be on a team-friendlier deal. Maybe you extend it out some years, kind of like Kansas City did. Obviously, he got paid at the top of the market at that time, but we see guys sign a 3-4 year deal, and then Patrick Mahomes signed like a 7-year deal, and now you see how undervalued his contract is because of that, but they're able to sign guys each and every year because of that.
10 years, $500 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what Patrick Mahomes got paid. But it was team-friendly at the time. It was able to help Kansas City recruit some guys and go out and get some free agents to help their team be able to play.
Yeah, and I think that's what Brock's got to do, man. They've had to give up a lot of guys to be able to get on that salary cap because Nick Bosa's coming up on another deal as well, too. And I seen him tweet and say that, hey, the best deal you could add is if you had my brother on the other side there and team him and Joey Bosa up. I don't know if they want to dish that much money out to DNs when you already got to pay a guy like Brock Purdy coming up and you got Brandon Ayuk going at $35 million against the cap, and we don't even know when he's coming back because he tore his ACL in the middle of the year.
And I think he'll take a team-friendly deal. But his problem is availability. And if they do go out and sign him, I think it'll be an incentive-laden type of contract.
Yeah, I believe so,
but,
too.
you know, if you compare these two brothers who've been two great ends and you put one on one side and you make them bookend, I would like to see that, too.
If they're playing, it's a problem. If they're both healthy and playing,
they're both playing, it's a problem.
That's a major problem for all quarterbacks if those two guys are going out there as well. And one more news since we're talking about Michael Parsons and the Cowboys. They're consistently one of the least active teams, I guess you could say, in the free agency market. They go out there and sign a Javonte Williams, which I think is actually a good pickup. Picking up a guy like Javonte Williams who's a good back, who kind of got played out of his role in Denver because of injuries. And once he came back, kind of lost his spot out there in Denver. The Dallas Cowboys signed him, but the only problem is outside of that, they don't sign anybody else. I think last year they spent the least amount of money in free agency. They spent $7 million in free agency last year, and I think the second lowest next to that was like $23 million or something like that. So they're way under. They signed
when Dax had his first a successful year, you should have paid Dax and you should have extended it. It would have been cheaper, and you could have paid him because you knew at that point he was your quarterback of the future. You know, Tony Romo was out. He was your quarterback of the future. Here we go. We get this guy 6 years. And you at that point, you could have gave him 6 years. You could have gave him 6 years, $30 million, and he would have took it.
Exactly.
Because he was only making $400,000 at the time. So the way they do business is bad.
Yeah.
But I can't see him making a splash in free agency because if you wanted to make that splash, you would have got on it in the first few days. And here it is, day 2, and you haven't made you go get Javonte Williams, but you needed a running back, and you go get him on the league minimum for a veteran of his stature. So you're not really trying to make any noise because if you was trying to make a noise, I remember years ago when they were trying to make a noise and they were trying to get Deion. The first day of free agency you heard about, we want Deion Sanders. We want Primetime. So they're not trying to make any type of splash. They're just trying to, and basically they should be because the 2 top teams in the whole NFC is in their division.
Yep.
You talk about 2 teams that played in the NFC championship game last year, divisional championship game. And you're looking up to these guys. So
if it wasn't for the Giants, you'd be looking at last place in your division, being worth the most money in the entire league.
And you still have to pay Michael Parsons, and you still have to play DeRon Bland. So they got some decisions, and they got some holes to fill, but they don't have the money to do it because of the way that they decided to pay guys. And
I thought they would at least be more active in the free agent market on offensive linemen. I thought a guy like Drew Dahlman, who was the best center probably available, and he was one of the first people to get gone in free agency. I thought maybe that would be somebody they would target, but they don't go after him. You got to replace Zach Martin. You've already figured out that Tyler Guyton can't play. You spent the first-round pick on him last year at left tackle. You ended up benching him by the last 4 or 5 games of the season because you figured out he can't play. Terrence Steele, you've known that he can't play, and sometimes you keep paying him anyway. Only guy on your offensive line that we know can play is Tyler Smith, who's on a rookie deal. You think you would try to cash in on some of those other guys while you have your best lineman is on a rookie deal, but you don't do that. Maybe they'll address that in free agency, but they're also supposed to address their receiver problem in the draft. They're also supposed to address the running back problem in the draft. They're also supposed to address the defensive lineman problem. I mean, you're leaving too much on – you only got 7 picks.
Right. And you got too many holes to fill. And then with this class of free agency, you already know free agency with the receivers. You should have went out early and got you a guy because you already know you got you a number 1 receiver. You're looking for a number 2 receiver, which with that a guy like that just signed DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
You go out and get you a guy like that that can help you. You know, you set at tight end, I think. But you need a number 2 receiver, and I don't think you have a number. I think you have a number 1 and a number 3 type of receiver on that type of grade. But you go and get you a number 2, or for sure number 2, because one thing about Dax, he can pass the ball, and he's had some big days. He's good when he's good, but he's bad when he's bad.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
But when you know this guy was protected, and when Kellen Moore was your offensive coach, you led the league in passing.
Yep.
You led the league in passing. And you really didn't have – you had a number 1 at that time, but you had Amari Cooper to go with him and to pair with him. And Amari Cooper's out there. If you even want to bring him back, you can even bring him back.
Mark Cooper's still available. Stephon Diggs still available.
You know, but you go and get you a number 2 receiver, and they hadn't done that. And the first couple of days, you know, you hadn't seen them be aggressive at all. And I'm thinking if you want to win and you want to catch up to these teams that's in your conference, in your division, then you're the Dallas Cowboys. You had a star on your helmet.
Yep.
You know, you're a $3 billion franchise. You're aggressive. You go out and get these guys and show them that you want them. Hey, we want to win. I'm going out and spending all kinds of money and trying to get these guys in any way I can.
And I don't understand how they don't and why they don't. If the philosophy has not worked, like you said, when they were winning in the 90s, they were aggressive in free agency. You think at some point you will go back to that. The only aggressive free agent pursuit they've made since then is when they got T.O., and Bill Parcells didn't even want T.O. That was Jerry Jones just going out there and saying, hey, we want T.O. That came in and didn't work out. And since then, he's never went aggressively after any free agents, like you said. How do you not go and get a number 2 receiver by now? You've seen all these guys signing, Devontae Adams signing. You've seen Hopkins taking $6 million on a deal. The same thing that happened last year. You've seen Derrick Henry take a 2-year, $12 million deal. You didn't want to sign him to that. You look at Joshua Palmer, who left the Chargers, took a pretty friendly deal to go out there and be Buffalo's number 1 receiver now. Why can't you add any of those guys to go out there with Dak? Like you said, when he had weapons and the offensive line was humming, Dak was right there in the MVP race. Yeah. If you want to get him back to that, you got to be able to get this dude weapons, man. And
you got to be able to protect him.
Yeah, and you have to be able to protect him. That's the biggest one, and I'm shocked at because that's been the Cowboys' really best part of their team for the last decade has been their offensive line.
Yeah, and their defensive line has been capable.
Yeah,
but now they lacking at both of those positions. You got to be able – the game is won in the trenches, man.
Yeah, it is.
If teams are able to run on you, and
it's over.
Then you can do whatever you want to do on offense because you can run the ball. So that puts you at a disadvantage because now you have to run the pass. But if you make teams one-dimensional, do in the NFL, but the game is won in the trenches. And so if you're able to protect it, you're able to block, and you're able to run the ball, you can do whatever you want to do on offense. If you're able to keep a team from running, then you're able to pretty much do what you want to do on defense because now you can blitz, now you can sit back, and you can design because now the team is one-dimensional, and any NFL team can play up to par when they know what another team is doing because it's already designed. They can't run on us, so they just have to pass. So now I can just play the pass.
Yeah.
So Man, it's just so simple in the NFL.
And the good teams figured that out,
Yeah.
and they know
Yes,
that. And we
yes.
look at Ben Johnson's been the coach there at the Chicago Bears for only a few weeks. Immediately, the first thing they went and do, they trade for Jonah Jackson. They go and trade for Joe Thuney, who had an all-pro year with the Chiefs. They trade for him. They go and sign another offensive lineman, and they've drafted offensive linemen their last couple of drafts. They couple that with going and getting a Grady Jarrett from the Falcons, who they just signed to a big deal to shore up their defensive line.
Right,
If you can
right.
stop the run and if you can protect your ball carrier and run the ball, you're already going to have that. Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season because of that. He knows run the ball, stop the run. If I can run the ball on somebody and I can stop them from running, that'll get us 6 or 7 wins just with that alone.
Just that alone.
And
Just
the
that
Dallas
alone.
Cowboys haven't been able to put that together. And I thought after the season they had last year, they would go at least semi-aggressively or whatever Stephen Jones said. He said selectively aggressive. I didn't know what that meant, but I haven't seen anything aggressive so far. Maybe they'll pick up some of the slack in these latter days of free agency.
Because you're letting everything that you really need get away. You're letting all the great linemen, all the good linemen are pretty much gone. You
Yeah.
can go get a Becton or something like that that might come in and can help you. But
You're going to have to pay him, too, if he come there.
Yeah, but yeah, you're going to have to pay him. And the thing about it is, you're not looking at, you're not just one lineman short. You're about 2 or 3 linemen short, so you have to.
On both sides of the ball.
On both sides of the ball. And your defensive tackles, you go get this guy from Michigan, Maji or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
Mozzie Smith.
And he hadn't been able to stop the run. They pushing him down the field. So, and you know that's been the reason why you haven't been successful, because teams have been able to push you off the ball and run up and down the field, and you still don't go address these needs. So now you're in the same situation that you were last year.
So it's going to be, like I've said, the last few weeks, an interesting offseason for the Cowboys, and it seems like it's just getting more interesting as they don't go out there and sign a couple of players. Last one I want to talk about here today on the show is to run out of time. Josh Allen cashes in on a big-time deal, 5 years, $330 million as he cashes in on a deal. Well-deserved. They already start bringing him in help. They go and get Josh Palmer to come in and kind of be that de facto number one. This, with being able to draft well, and this, like you just said, AFC East is already kind of there, similar to New England when Tom Brady was winning all those. Well, we know we're going to win our division, so let's just focus on how can we take out some of these other guys within the AFC.
Take some steps to compete with Baltimore.
Yeah.
Take some steps to compete against Kansas City. How do we get better and beat these teams?
Yeah.
Because they've already wrapped up the AFC East. Because I can't see Miami doing anything.
Oh, no.
They got a lot of problems and a lot of things to do. I can see New England is a couple of years off because
they
they
still
just
got some
brought in a
time.
new coach. They got a new rookie quarterback that's going into his second year. But he's going to need Mike Vrabel is going to need some time to rebuild and get it and bring that culture back that he's used to having with New England. And the New York Jets brought in a new coaching staff, so they're still going to have to take time to get that stuff into place and be competitive. But I mean, like you said, Buffalo is doing the right thing. They got ahead of it. You know, they keep adding money to the salary cap, so you get ahead of it right now. So these guys, like you say, Bernard, they got ahead of him.
Yeah.
They signed him to a 3-year deal. So if he's not playing good in 2 years, then you're able to cut him.
Yeah, off that guaranteed money, yeah.
Yeah, so because you're getting your money up front, so now you just say, hey, well, we already paid him, so we'll take a hit against the salary cap, but it won't be as much.
Yeah.
So that's how you do it, and the Cowboys hadn't been able to do it. But, man, Buffalo, man, that's an organization, a good organization that takes care of their players, make sure these guys are happy, and you take care of the best player on your team, which is your quarterback, and the heart and soul of your team, which is your quarterback, and it's very well deserved for Josh Allen.
Yep, so Josh Allen gets a record-setting deal, $250 million guaranteed. Somebody finally breaks the Deshaun Watson deal, who was the highest guarantee with $230 million, and we know how that worked out. But this Josh Allen one set to work out a little bit better as Buffalo getting ready at another chance at this AFC title, man. They were right there last year in the AFC Championship game. A couple plays go a different way. They're in the Super Bowl playing the Philadelphia Eagles. So Shout out to Josh Allen, man, getting a big deal and definitely well deserved after winning that MVP. Folks, we're out of time here today on Centex Primetime. Like I said, we're here live at the Highlands, getting ready for the Region 5 tournament for the NJCAA basketball Region 5 tournament that is going to be played right here in Waco, Texas, at the Highlands on McLennan County's beautiful campus here. We'll be covering that all week long, so you'll be able to tune into that. I'll have some interviews with coaches and with some other guys in between some of these games, so we'll put that content out as well, all on the YouTube. To watch every game, go to CentexSportsNetwork.com. Hit that subscribe button. All the games are free. You'll be able to watch them right here. Out of time here today, folks. Want to thank Wayne for jumping on it with me. We will see you guys next time. More
for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.